Okay, I'm going to go with this. I believe that the role of Albert Einstein was played by Larry Fine. Now, on the left, you'll see a photo of Einstein, and it's been inserted into this Pictrive, which is a particular type of software that will make comparisons between the photos and the features. And so I tried to find two that really had some pretty strong similarity. So on the left is Albert Einstein, and on the right is Larry Fine. Larry Fine is one of the classic Three Stooges. So I'm going to be bouncing around. I have a lot of things open on my computer, and I'm not very good with the technology. I'm not very good at making these videos. But my main purpose is to just get truth out there, and it can be subjected to your analysis. In other words, the similarity meter is showing 86% similar, which for me, that's really outstanding, okay? Now somebody might say, well, I want to see it 90 or 100. Well, some of the reason that won't occur is that sometimes the photos are taken at different times of a person's life, and sometimes the photos are just not quite of high quality or whatever. But on this particular submission of two different photos of, quote, two different individuals, it's showing an 86% match between Albert Einstein on the left and Larry Fine on the right. Now, there are other reasons that I believe that Larry Fine plays the role of Albert Einstein in hoax history. And I'm going to cite those reasons for you, and I'm going to try to jump around to some other sites later, but I want to get all this information out first. First would be their heritage. Einstein and Feinberg. Now, the last part of his name has been dropped, so you look at their heritage. Secondly, both of them have the love of playing a violin. The story goes in Larry Fine's life that when he was young, he mistook a bottle of acid that was used by his father in his processing lab to try to uncover gold, and that he began to drink the acid, and his father discovered it and smacked it out of his hand, and it burned a portion of his arm. And so the parents decided that they would give him a violin to strengthen those muscles. Now that's the storyline, okay? Now, Albert Einstein also developed a love of playing violin in his early youth. So both the one on the left and the one on the right share the love of violin. And it's kind of the cultural thing that emerges from both of them. The second thing is, later on, the hairdo of Einstein will be so insane, it almost looks like he put his hand in an electric socket and his hair got electrified. Now, Larry, in his role in the Three Stooges, always had that type of a hairstyle where it's kind of fluffed up and electrified. So both of them later will share an electrified hairdo. Now, another thing that I'd like to mention why I think they are the same is that both have sort of a, and I'll use the term bipolar type role. Larry, in his role in the Three Stooges, will seem pretty sensible and seem pretty reasonable, like he's the most reasonable of the Stooges. But then every once in a while he'll do something like really insane, like in the short Disorder in the Court, Larry will just start yelling and screaming like Tarzan in the middle of the courtroom. It has nothing to do with anything. And Einstein, later in life, will stick out his tongue. There's photographs of him putting an equation on the board that 6 minus 3 is 9 or something. I don't know. You can look them up. In other words, you get this impression Einstein is so brilliant, and then you'll see these wacko, insane things that you'll say, how could the most brilliant man on earth do this? So they share that in common. Now, another really important thing is the crucial years of filming. Never mind the hoax history, the fake existence of Einstein in Germany. The most crucial years are like from 1939 through the war years and after the war. Because remember, Einstein will remain in the hoax history kind of a hidden figure. And then he emerges after the war because he came to the United States supposedly in 1939. He becomes a U.S. citizen in 1940. He's teaching at Princeton, and he is visited by 2 so-called scientists from Germany, and they have a little conference together, and they try to persuade Einstein to use his influence on America. And eventually, out of this little joint meeting comes a letter to FDR, and then a little meeting with FDR, and then the start of, guess what? The Manhattan Project to develop the nuclear bomb. So in a way, Einstein, for the purpose of hoax history, is irrelevant until about 1939. Now, take Larry Fine about 1939. The Stooges have already done a lot of filming, and they still have a lot of life left in them to film. So Larry Fine will take on this role very easily because he's already really good at the camera, and he can fulfill this by secretly filming these sorts of things. And then after the war, after 1945, all this nonsense comes out. Okay? So it's been kind of hidden during the war years, but the most important years for public viewing is after the war. Okay? So Einstein, as a hoax history character, disappears in 1955. And that's okay. You need to kill off a character, right? So that they're not around too long. And of course, Larry Fine is still quite active with the Three Stooges in 1955. So one other thing is there have been some clues in the Three Stooges shorts that have indicated to me that Larry Fine is indeed in the role of Einstein during these crucial years of World War II and following. So the hoax really doesn't develop into anything at all until after the war, because the United States and the whole world is going to be so surprised by this atomic bomb dropped on Hiroshima and then Nagasaki later. So how did this all come about? Well, then, quote, the story unravels after World War II ends. So the filming years would have been pretty much the war years, and Larry Fine could have easily filmed a lot of this nonsense stuff during the war years to present after the war that Einstein was behind all this with his stupid equation E equals mc squared. Now, pardon me, I'm going to try to, I've got so many things open, I'm a little confused on what I've got up here, so I'm going to try to open some things and see if I can get you, there's Larry fine with the violin. And then remember, of course, Einstein is real good on the violin. And by the way, just by looking at his face right here, just by looking, okay, and if you look at some early photos of Einstein, you can almost just with your own eyesight see the similarities. Okay, there's Einstein and all his nonsense. Now here's a site that allows you to take the photos and blend them, but the problem with that is you have to have them pretty well lined up in order to do this. So you can just sort of see for yourself. Okay, they're not perfectly lined up, and there's a little bit of age differential in terms of Larry Fine on the left and Einstein on the right, but I'm going to do it anyhow. Now once again, anything I present, you're welcome to disagree with. I had someone put on my channel, I disagree with you about the chimpanzees, and I thought, well, that's okay, you can. But back to what someone always says, well, test it for yourself. In other words, if you disagree, why don't you go ahead and research it and see? Maybe you'll be surprised and you'll find out that chimpanzees, orangutans, gorillas, and apes, they're all fake. The only thing that's really real are just the tiny little itty-bitty monkeys. And that was developed to get you to believe the nonsense of evolution. Okay? So there's Einstein and here's Larry Fine. Okay? You could see that right there, even though this is off just slightly, you can just see the eyebrows and the eyes match really well. And again, there's a little bit of an age differential there. This is a young, supposedly a young Einstein, and a little bit of an older Larry Fine. Okay? So, pardon me while I kind of click on these things. I'm not real good at all this. You'll have to kind of pardon me on that one. Now here's another one. There's Einstein on the right, and then we're going to take Larry Fine on the left. And once again, they're not matched up really well, and there is age differential. Just to sort of show you, and I referred to it in some of my earlier videos, what I call the split persona, that they can actually play two roles. Larry can be a successful comedian with the Stooges and yet secretly be playing the role of Albert Einstein in filming, because a lot of the filming would have been done in secret during the war years. And there's just a whole bunch of photos of Larry. Once again, this one over here on the far right with Larry and the violin. Okay, here's another one. These are not lined up, but once again, it's got that insane look to it. Okay, there's Larry. He looks pretty reasonable and everything, but every once in a while in the Three Stooges shorts, he'll go bonkers. Just completely ballistic, with no relation to anything at all. And then, of course, there are the wacky photos of Einstein sticking his tongue out. I guess the best way I can describe it is kind of like a bipolar thing, like two extremes coming together. The most brilliant man in the world, right? And he sticks his tongue out. And it's a form of mockery, saying, I'm fake, I'm fake, I'm fake. And I'm just like, guess what? I'm just like one of the Three Stooges. So there you see the concept is illustrated to you with this style here of okay, there you are once again. I think I subjected the photometer. Again, this comes from PIC, TRIEV, and you'll see it's coming up with an 86% match between Larry Fine here on the left and Albert Einstein on the right. Now that was an earlier one, and the pictures are not quite as close, but that's got a 55% match. Now here's all the Einstein things. Again, look at the hairdo on some of these ones, like right down here. Look at the hairdo. You get the idea. He's so brilliant, right? And then there's these wacko hairdos and the sticking the tongue out, right? And then of course his famous E equals mc squared. It's nonsense and it's all coded. And I can go into that in another video for you. No problem on that one. That's real easy to decode. Okay, here you are. This is kind of a caricature showing that he's the most brilliant man in the world. And look at his hair, right? And look at the nonsense equations. Almost as if begging and saying, now this photo right here really looks like Larry Fine in younger years. Okay, almost by eyesight you can see that one. Okay, here's another attempt I made to use this similarity meter, and it's Einstein on the left and Larry Fine on the right, getting a 62% similarity. All right? So once again, you're welcome to test it for yourself. You're welcome to doubt this. You're welcome to disagree. Hey, my purpose here on my channel is not to win followers. It's not necessarily to get more subs or more views. The reason I started this was to get truth out there. And when I made my first video, I had like 5 views. That's it, period. And I was excited to go and check it. Oh, I went up to 6 views. So I just wanted to make a little tiny contribution out there. And I started with that 80-year war cycle video. And I'll tell you what I said back then is true to this day. It's just that the war you're seeing is not necessarily one with bombs and bullets. So anyhow, my purpose is just to get truth out there. And remember, I stand for the one who is the way, the truth, and the life. That is the Lord Jesus Christ. And truth will bring down lies. And truth will take out a hoax lie system. So I hope more and more people begin to discover the idea that we've been lied to, and we've been lied to on like the most grandest scale you can ever imagine. In fact, the scale is so big that when you begin to try to speak about it, people will immediately categorize you as crazy. Well, as crazy as it may sound, I'm presenting to you that yes, Larry Fine played Einstein, and it actually has a little poetic saying to it. Larry Fine played Einstein. Thank you for watching. End of video.